convert between the metric system, we divide or multiply by powers of 10, right? Okay, and that's what we're going to look at very shortly. We divide or multiply by powers of 10. Okay, and so just a little bit of a recap between the powers of 10. If I talk about 10 to the power of 0, that's going to equal to 1, because anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. 10 to the power of 1 is just 10 itself. 10 to the power of 2 is equal to 10 multiplied by 10, which gives us 100. And 10 to the power of 3 is 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10 is 1,000, right? And so we're going to construct a grid that looks at different units in terms of measurement. Remember, conversion speaks about measurement. We'll talk about mass, we'll talk about length, and we'll talk about volume, right? So I'm going to list over here mass. Okay, I'm going to list over there length, and I'm going to list over there volume. Right. Okay, so when we talk about mass, let's talk about different units of mass. Let's start with the biggest one that we know. Let's go to kilograms. Before kilograms, you know, we get 1,000 grams, and then we get centigrams, right? And then we get milligrams. Now similarly with length, we get kilometers, which is km, right? Meters, then we get centimeters, and then we get millimeters, right? Okay, and then volume, once again we speak about kiloliters. I'm going to put this one in blue for now. And then we get liters, and then we get centiliters, and then we get milliliters, right? Okay, so let's speak about the conversion. When we go from I'm going to do this on top, when we go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, because you're going to have more of that smaller unit in the bigger unit. So for example, you already know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, right? And this is something you know. 1 liter, you know, is equal to 1,000 milliliters, right? Similarly, you know that 1 kiloliter is equal to 1,000 liters, right? And so what we're going to be looking at now is if you want to go from a bigger unit, such as converting from kilograms, which is a larger quantity of mass, to a smaller quantity. So that's my bigger unit over there. Okay, and that's my smaller unit over here. From a bigger unit to a smaller unit. When we go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, all we need to do is we multiply. So that's multiply. And when I go from the smaller unit to a larger unit, then I must divide. And so as we mentioned, we're going to be multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. Okay, so let's look at this. If I go from kilograms all the way to grams, then I need to say that's going to be multiply by 1,000, right? And if I go from grams to centigrams, then I multiply by 100. Okay, so if I were to go to, and then when I go from centigrams to milligrams, I go multiply by 10. Okay, so the reverse is also true. When I go from the smaller unit to the larger unit, I need to divide. So that I'm going to write here at the bottom, from milliliters to centiliters, I divide by 10. Okay, from centiliters to liters, I divide by 100, because there's 100 centiliters in a liter, or there's 1,000. Okay, and then over here I divide by 1,000, right? So if I have 1,000 liters and I want to know how many kiloliters is that, I say 1,000 liters divided by 1,000 gives me the number of kiloliters. So this is how a conversion table works. Similarly, if I went from milliliters to liters, I know that there's going to be 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So I take the number of milliliters, divide by 10, then divide by 100, and then I get liters. Or I can do that directly by saying milliliters, 2 liters is going to be divided by 1,000, because I have 10 and then I have another 100, and 10 times 100 gives me 1,000. Okay, so that's how we convert in the metric system for units of mass, of length, of volume. If I were to go from kilometers and I want to know how many kilometers, or 2 kilometers, how many meters is that, I could say 2 kilometers, and I want to know how many meters is that, right? So I look at my conversion to go from kilometers to meters. I just multiply by 1,000, because in each kilometer there's 1,000 meters, so that's going to be 2 multiplied by 1,000 meters, and that's going to give me 2,000 meters in 2 kilometers, right? Okay, so clearly we can see that we have the conversion down there. If I want to know how many liters is, how many kiloliters is 2,500 liters is equal to how much kiloliters, right? So I know I'm going from liters, I'm going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, and there's 1,000 liters in each kiloliter, so I'm going to say 2,500 divided by 1,000, and I can do that on the calculator, and that's going to give me a value of 2.5 kiloliters. That's 2.5 kiloliters, right? And so there you have it. Make sure that you know this table very, very well, and how to go from kilograms to grams, or grams to centigrams, and centigrams to milligrams. This is 10 to the power of 1, 10 to the power of 2, and 10 to the power of 3. Okay, if you were to go directly now from kilograms all the way to milligrams, okay, if we went all the way direct, ooh, what's happening over there? We went all the way from there to there. That's going to be multiply by 1 million, right? And if I went all the way from year to year, that's going to be divide by 1 million. Okay? And how do I know that? I just took 1,000 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 10, and that gives me a million. Or 1,000 times 100 times 10, again that gives me a million. Okay, so there's our conversion table, and we'll be looking at a few more examples.